Welcome to Speaking of Sports. I'm your host, Jared Slack. This week we're going to go over the MLB Trade Deadline that happened on Wednesday. I'm going to go over some of the big trades that went down. I'm going to start with the Houston Astros, who acquired Zack Greinke right at the deadline to steal the show. This really improves their starting rotation. It now includes Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and Zack Greinke. The Astros were already my favorite to win the World Series, and those chances just went up, with the Yankees, Red Sox, and Dodgers not making a big deal at the deadline. The most interesting deal was between the Reds and the Indians. The Reds acquired Trevor Bauer, who was in headlines this week after throwing the ball over the center field fence from the mound after having a bad outing. The Indians received Yasiel Puig and some minor league prospects. 25 minutes after Puig was traded to the Indians, he was still playing in the game for the Reds. Instead of coming off the field, cleaning out his locker, and heading to Cleveland, he was still playing in the outfield. While the Indians are anxiously waiting for their new player to get off the field, Puig attempts to throw someone out on base and assist his team in a brawl against the opposing team. Now tell me how that's not the most interesting trade. Now the Texas Rangers, they didn't do a whole lot in free agency. They did, however, trade Chris Martin for Kobe Allard, who was a decent minor league prospect with around a 2.5 ERA. So he's got a lot of upside, and he only throws the ball about 90 miles an hour. Not a true strikeout pitcher, but he does know how to get outs. They were looking to get rid of Mike Minor, Lance Lynn, and possibly Hunter Pence. And they were also talking about maybe getting rid of Nomar Mazara and Danny Santana as well. But I just don't think the deal was right, and I don't think it was the right time. And there's no sense of making a bad deal. The Rangers can spend this time to let the younger players play and get experience. Now I'm going to talk about the NFL training camp. The Dallas Cowboys are well underway with training camp, and they're in great shape right now. Their defense is looking fantastic. Byron Jones isn't back yet from his surgery, but Cheeto, the other cornerback, he's doing very well. And the only downside to it, which isn't a downside, Amari Cooper is getting open no matter what. Every play he is open. And no matter how good Cheeto Bay-Awuzie is, he cannot cover Amari Cooper, which is a good thing, especially for Dak. Dak is entering his contract year. Hopefully he's going to have a great year. He might get paid this training camp. We'll see. But Zeke is still in holdout right now, which it could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing for getting his legs healthy, staying out of the weather, getting his feet up under him. He's training in Cabo right now, so that's probably a good thing. The only bad thing would be is just chemistry with other players and that sort of thing. But the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, has been doing great so far. It seems like they're throwing in a little bit more motion, throwing the ball deeper more often, and that's a good thing. They're confusing the defense before they snap the ball, and that is a big thing in the NFL. Last year and previous years, they just come up to the line, and obviously it's going up the middle with Zeke, and they load the box, and you get a 1 to 3 yard play, and they do need some more confusion and the pre-snap thing. They're also talking about possibly doing what Sean McVay does and talking in the headset with Dak right before the play snapped, just to help him out a little bit more for the young quarterback. And that will be a good idea. Also, I'd like to talk about Jason Garrett. The only thing holding this offense back with Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott would be Jason Garrett. And that's the last time Garrett was in control and calling plays. it didn't go too well. And this is Garrett's contract year, and he might be trying to take control just so he doesn't lose his job. So we need to look out for that. Ezekiel Elliott's last day to report is August 6th on Tuesday. So he's got 5 more days to report, or he's going to lose a year of eligibility. And that he's going to lose all his game checks. He won't get paid this year. And that's also not going to be good for fantasy owners who, for most people, that's going to be the first overall pick. And that brings me to what we're going to talk about next week is fantasy football. I'm going to give you all of the inside training tips, top picks, everybody's first round pick, all that kind of stuff. Thank you for tuning in to Speaking of Sports. I've been your host, Jared Slack. Join me next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time on the Mute Mogul Media YouTube Network.